Yes, people. Welcome back again to another Black Eyes TV production. In the house with me, as usual, co-host extraordinaire Terry Riggs. Talk to them, brethren. Talk to them. Talk to them.
Yes, this is Terry Riggs, UK tour guide to the rest of the world. And you know how it has been. It's been a hectic week, 7 days tour to all our people out there. As you know, we've been having TC Carrier and King Kevin talking about relationships, talking about the science behind the feminine and masculine. You know it. People that came up, it was a fantastic 7 to 8 days as TC Carrier left out today, and he sent his regard wishes to saying thank you to everyone out there that attended this fantastic event that has been phenomenal. So, you know, how did you receive it, Mr. Ritchie?
No, it was a big evening. Every time I went, nice fellowship, good mingling. Yeah, as I said, both authors were killing it. And it just ran in sync. Shout out to Shazam as well for hosting it. And again,
yeah, you got to thank her for everything. And as well, like we always say, can you say, Richie, that you received, or something that can be prominently in your mindset that you said something you've learned from what the discussions and information that you received?
I just like the way TC was going into everything sex. Everything is sex. Understanding that the receiving and outputting, that's the sexual act. You know, the universe is based on these principles, these gender principles. So just having that in your head and understanding that relationship with everything around you, I did like that. I like the way he brought that and worked that in. And obviously, again, it's string theory, big to small, small to big. Wherever you look, it's a reflection eternal. So yeah, shout out to TC for that. Shout out to Kevin.
So today, as I was saying today, that we're going to be talking about over future events that are coming. We're going to talk about products. I'm going to talk about all different types. But today is about that definite one big thing that we always want to know about: health. And health is the biggest thing that we need to know about, because without our health, we're non-existent. So, you know, today we've got one big Titan, as we say on Titans TV. Yeah, the darkest, the chocolate man himself. Yeah?
That's cool.
The melanin of all melanins. You can't get darker than this guy here, because he goes into the deepest science that no one else can know.
Yo, I never fucked Wayne, I never fucked Drake.
So we're gonna go into this today. ENQI, Minister ENQI, what are you going to talk to us today?
Oh man, I gotta explain to the family why I have such a wild ringtone. I don't even know where to start. I've been all over the place. I got so much questions people have been asking me lately.
You've been going hard on the posting of the videos, man. You put up a whole nice block of information lately.
Yeah, well, my daughter, my children kind of boss me around, so to speak. And so my daughter was telling me, because she's here with me, watching me. And so, I talk to them about everything. And so she's like, Dad, I hear what you're saying with the Eat Right for the Haplotype book and whoop, whoop, whoop. But, a lot of people still need to understand the basics. They still need to understand, the basics of how the body works and how things relate. So that will give people more clarity and make them want to, so lately I've been trying to make the basics as simple as possible, because even the basics sometimes is not really basics to people that have are estranged to the information. And so you know, just regular, like for instance, when I had Black Genetics Volume 1 out, the biggest thing that I was trying to get across to people, it was twofold. The first thing was that I wanted people to really understand and wrap their mind around the fact that people that are overweight, people that have, okay, so that's one category, people that are overweight, but also not just people that are overweight, people that have an excessive appetite and cravings that they can't stop, right? So what they don't understand is that this is your body speaking to you directly. So in my world, when I tell people that the mirror is an illusion and that we're not this big, you know, we're not the person that we see in the mirror. What we are is an amalgamation of cells. We're a large group of cells working together. And if we could look in the mirror and see that, it would be easier for us to understand how our bodies work. But we're really just a bunch of cells working in tandem. And so those cells have created different routes of communication with the whole of the body. And the most basic ones show up in our conscious awareness as instinct. So if you're constantly hungry, that means you're not feeding your cells. So for most of us, especially those of us in the city, we come out of poverty, you know, out the hood, etc., etc. You know, we on that eating. You know what I'm saying? Eating has even become synonymous with working, making money, having a job. Like, yeah, we eating. So you got people that's 300-400 pounds. They eating.
Constantly.
But they're still starving because they're not getting their body the 100 plus nutrients that they're supposed to have every day. So it's the same as a construction crew at a construction site, and you know the foreman on the construction site pops up, and everybody's kind of sitting around grabbing their crotch. You know what I'm saying? They got juices, they got beers, they got joints. You know, they just in relax mode. And so the foreman is like, yo, what the hell's going on right now? I'm paying y'all to work. Y'all supposed to be building a building right here. And so the guys tell him, hey, you know, we did all we could, but we don't have any more hammers. We don't have any more screws. We don't have any more wood. You know, we're missing hammer, screws, and wood. So the foreman goes, no problem. He calls up the supply company. They send concrete. They send drywall. They send piping. They send wires. They send sheetrock. Right. They dump 10, 20 trucks on the construction lot, and the guys are still there sitting down, chilling. The foreman asked the guys, yo, what happened? I thought I got y'all the supplies. The guy said, no, we needed hammers, nails, and wood. You never gave us any. So your body's asking you for minerals, amino acids, vitamins, essential fatty acids. You put in cheeseburgers, soda, French fries, which seems to be the most eaten vegetable on earth. I think is French fries. French fries is the most popular quote unquote vegetable on earth. Like, so we put all these things in, and we don't understand that your body's gonna go through it, sift through it like a construction tool. They walk around on the trucks. They moving the sheetrock out the way. They looking to see if there's any wood, hammers, and nails. They check each truck. Once they check each truck and see there's no wood, hammers, and nails, your stomach belches, and you realize you're hungry again. So when you go to certain places like Chinese restaurants, or you go to McDonald's, and you eat a lot of shit and you're full for about 30, 40 minutes, you belch and then you're hungry again immediately. That's your body letting you know that what you just ate wasn't worth a damn. And it has a snowball effect. So a lot of times this kind of conversation, and people don't want to listen to, but what happens is this is where your problems come from. And it's very simple to understand. Every single action, every single biochemical reaction, every single hormone, amino, every single everything in your body that happens requires specific raw nutrients in order for that to take place. Every day that we go on that we don't put those nutrients there, a certain part of our body breaks down. Now, usually, because we have 100,000 chemical reactions a second in each one of our cells, when those start breaking down, you don't notice that right away. It takes a long time for that to pile up into a pain on your side, or a kidney that no longer functions, or your penis no longer getting up, or white spots popping up on your skin, or you know, all of these problems that people ask about later on, and they want to know if you have a secret herb that fixes that right away in 2 weeks. These are problems that happen over time because day to day they're not getting the specific nutrients in. And then the other thing that I was stressing initially was when we bring babies into the world. When we bring babies into the world, that very same conversation is even more pronounced because every single cell in that baby's body, every vein, every artery, every tissue, every gland, every organ, every bone, everything is created out of raw material that the mom eats. So if the mom doesn't take in all of the 100+ raw nutrients that she's supposed to have every day, how will the baby be fully developed? It's impossible.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's just that simple. It's impossible to have a fully healthy, fully developed baby if you don't have the raw supplies that your body needs to create a whole new human. Most of our women that are carrying babies are not getting in the 100+ nutrients that they need every day, that their bodies need to run. So they're definitely not going to have in their storehouse, which is their bones, their organ, like the liver holds a lot of minerals. They're not going to have a bank worth of nutrients to create this new baby out of.
Yeah.
And, you know, now that people's diets are getting so crazy and nobody likes to hear conversations like this, it's getting worse. It's not getting better. Because you have people that are going on vegan diets. And right now, to be honest, vegan diets are fucking people up more than anything else.
Okay. Explain.
Well, vegans are now becoming very snobbish and arrogant about their diet. So they feel like because they've heard so many miracles about plant-based diets, being able to heal this and heal that and restore your youth and your energy and all of this other shit. All they need to do is be on a plant-based diet and they found the fountain of youth, and that's not true. Farms are in business. Farmers are in business. So when you grow crops, which are plants for a living, the name of the game is to put as little money into the soil and get as much as money out of the soil as possible. So most farmers only use between 3 and 9 minerals to grow their crops, especially since in the 60s when they found out that NPK was all you really needed to have an abundant harvest. That's 3 minerals. Okay. So if your body needs 77 minerals a day, which is about the number as far as the current science right now. 20 years ago, they would have told you your body needed 60. Now we know it's about 77. I'm I'm of the understanding that our bodies need close to 100 some odd minerals a day. But 77 is what's on the record so far right now in Western academia. If the plants only have 3 minerals in them,
It's just crazy deficiency.
you missing 74. You missing 74.
Yeah, straight up.
Now that's just minerals. That's just minerals. So it's impossible for us to be healthy, especially with the arrogance that we have, where even people that's a part of the stay woke community, the conscious community, they don't want to hear this shit. It sounds like I sound like their father nagging to them, or they mom nagging to them, so they don't want to hear it. Then a lot of people pride themselves on being ultra intelligent, especially in our circles. So they definitely don't want to listen to me and find out that they don't know shit.
Yeah.
So you got a bunch of people running around, and because of their arrogance, we look crazy out here. You know, they think because they spend a bunch of money on organic food that means something. It doesn't. You know, niggas are now, this like organic food is now the new name brand clothes.
Yeah, definitely.
So people are wearing that as a badge because it's so expensive. It's now a new conversation to have with girls type shit. Like, yeah, well, you know, ma, you know, I don't eat organic. You know what I'm saying? I'm a raw alkaline.
Yeah.
You know.
It is the same thing as man saying with this vegan thing, brother. It's the in thing right now. So
right, and it's cool.
Do no research. They just move to it and they're just going with it, and they don't know the deficiencies that they're already suffering, and then they're jumping into a regime that's, you know, effectively mashing them down even more.
That's correct, and they don't understand what the definition of organic is. I keep telling people, you know, and this is why, again, my daughter had to bring me back to, I guess, to reality and say, Dad, people still need the basics. They don't get it. Organic is a very dangerous term when you don't understand it. Because when you say organic, what people get from that, especially when they have to pay $3 for an organic tomato that otherwise would be 35 cents.
Yeah. It's not.
They think in their mind that means that the tomato is ultimately healthy and ultimately nutritious, and everything they need is packed into this organic shit. So when they buy organic only, you know, it's impossible. You know, they got all their nutrients covered right there. Once they get the organic shit, it's over. You know what I'm saying? So what they don't realize is that is a euphemistic term that has been used to market to people to upsell vegetables. It doesn't mean anything except for the fact that, and this is still euphemistically used because it's not the scientific definition. I'll give you that in a second.
Yeah.
It's the only thing it implies. Let me use that word. It might be better in context. The only thing it implies is that the farmer didn't spray it to death with pesticides, right? But they have to understand that doesn't mean that tomato now is loaded with minerals. It just means that it's not loaded with pesticides.
Yeah.
So it's a whole understanding. Hold on 1 second. Give me. Take a service, a commercial break real quick.
Yes. This is a commercial break. So all the family out there, as we know, we've been talking about all these products and all this stuff, which we're unloading. We're just talking about the Black Eyes TV stores.
Also coming soon.
Yeah. Give them a little demonstration. Tell them what it's about, Richie.
Red Pill, Queen Afua, Armand Ra Squad, Shaka Most, There's going to be all sorts of products. Minister ENQI, yeah, all sorts of things running. One-stop shop, online
KT the off
stock.
degree.
Also, tell them, yeah, we will be joining the ranks in the shop. There'll be fashion, books, literature, and health products. Yeah, that should be launching hopefully end of the week, and we shut this thing down. But I see ENQI's back, so I want to continue the information. I don't want to break from it too much. But remember today's show, Minister ENQI, UK, USA, link up. Yeah, eat right for your Haplo group. That's what we're going to be getting into shortly. But yeah, we've just been cutting it up so far about some of the misnomers in the health community and some of the things that our people are doing on a Harry come up one. So ENQI, yeah, when you're ready, go back in, brother.
Right. So organic just simply means that there's not a hell of a bunch of pesticides in the food. So people that are lost on this whole organic vibe are still walking around malnutrition. And you know, you even see a lot of unpleasant vegans. And when I say unpleasant vegans, they have a unbalanced brain chemistry.
Okay.
Unbalanced brain chemistry. And a well-balanced diet should produce a well-balanced personality.
Definitely.
But it doesn't, because see, what people don't understand is, and I get a lot of people, they ask me about, Minister ENQI, why don't you talk about mental health more? And I'm gonna be talking about mental health in New York this weekend. But I tell them every time I speak, I talk about mental health because 90% of your brain chemistry is produced in your stomach. So if you don't have a well-balanced diet, if you're not getting in the tyrosine, the tryptophan, if you're not getting in these key nutrients, you don't have the neurotransmitter production. If your blood sugar level is high, you don't have the ability to metabolize tyrosine. If you don't have the ability to metabolize tyrosine, it's not just diabetes you got to worry about. You got to worry about your ability to think. You got to think about your ability for your mitochondria to function. These are things that nobody wants to discuss because the conversation gets lengthy, but this is why.
ENQI, 1 second. Just for the public, because some people may, some of the terminology, some people may not understand. Like when he's explaining tyrosine, people may not know what that is. Quick definition.
Okay. Yes, tyrosine is a very, very, very important amino acid, and depending on where you look at tyrosine, sometimes it's called the non-essential amino acid. Sometimes it's called an essential amino acid, because in some cases, your body can synthesize tyrosine if you have a good amount of phenylalanine in your diet, which is another very important amino acid. But tyrosine, and it's a shame. I'm glad you slowed me down, but it's a shame, especially in circles like ours, where people say melanin almost to the point where the next time you hear the word melanin, you want to vomit because people saying it so much and so frequently and just throwing it around haphazardly. Melanin is produced by the reduction of tyrosine. So there is no melanin production without tyrosine. And that becomes critically important for everybody across the board, not just black people. This is a European issue. This is a Hispanic issue. This is a Mexican issue. This is a Chinese issue. This is a every human, every earthling issue. Because tyrosine is also just as important for your neuromelanin, for all of your pigment centers in your brain. So you can't process information or articulate information properly without these pigment centers. In fact, when we get Alzheimer's or dementia, it is the withering away of the pigment in these centers, culminating in the loss of pigment in the substantia nigra, which is the center of the brain, that gives us, or that takes away our ability for our brain and our mind to synchronize. So tyrosine is a highly important amino acid. And a lot of people that's jumping on this, you know, they jumping on the vegan, and I want them to. I've been ushering in the vegan. Let's go. Let's get back to this diet that we're supposed to be on. But we have to do it with our eyes open. We have to understand that there are going to be certain things that are not in the diet that we're going to have to make sure we supplement. Period. If you want to make sure you get all those minerals, you're going to have to get you some mama tonics. If you want to make sure you get the amino acids in there, you're going to have to get you some mama tonics. If you want to make sure you get the enzymes in there, you're going to have to get you some mama. Now, if you can find another product that has the ionic, the colloidal, the monatomic, the enzymes, the hydrogen, the oxygen, the aromatic amino acids, like if you can find all that in one product, suit yourself. But there is none other. There's no other product on earth that has all those things in there. And some people would say, well, maybe that's the only reason why you're saying that we need these things is because they're in your product. That sounds asinine, and I don't even address those people because everybody has a smartphone nowadays. So we can look up tyrosine and see how important tyrosine is, not just for the production of the melanin in your skin, not just for the production of the pigment that's in your brain that allows your brain to function, not just for the, well, we haven't even touched on that. One of the main key points going back to having a well-rounded personality is dopamine production. Dopamine sits at the center of control inside your brain. Everybody can look up dopamine. Dopamine is also a byproduct of tyrosine. So tyrosine is also responsible for dopamine. If you don't have adequate tyrosine in the diet, or because you have high levels of blood sugar levels and high levels of insulin levels in the blood, your body can't properly metabolize tyrosine. Your body can't properly produce dopamine. So what do you have with people that's always looking for high? The sugar addiction. Why does the sugar addiction complement the high? Because every drug modulates dopamine release in the brain. Right. Now, with our taste buds are not just on our tongue. They run all the way down our digestive system. And our taste buds are cups. And inside those cups sit taste receptors. Those receptors change based on what we eat most frequently. So if we always have high levels of blood sugar sitting in our system, most of our taste receptors are going to be for more sugars. So you're going to have the sugar keeping the tyrosine from being metabolized. So now you have a higher need or a higher drive for dopamine production. Yeah. So you're going to want to get high to get the dopamine to release. Once the dopamine releases, now you got the dopamine go up. So now you're going to need the sugar to go up. Once the sugar goes up, you need the dopamine to go up. Once the dopamine goes up, you need the sugar to go up. So this is a never-ending cycle that we're putting ourselves in. And all of this is just a basis of not understanding our biochemistry. There's a lot of vegans out there right now that's you know, I've had vegans tell me that drinking liquor is okay as long as they drink it in moderation, because the liquor actually is vegan.
How's that one work out then?
Well, because
Work out.
a lot of the liquors come from vegetables. Like I think vodka comes from potatoes, if I'm not mistaken, and so right. So then you got wine from the grapes and the fruits, and so people are like, well, no. This is, you know, this is fermented, so it helps with probiotics, and it's vegetables, so it's vegan. What they don't understand is every time they drink alcohol, the alcohol flushes the liver of all of their mineral stores as well as their antioxidant stores. Most importantly, glutathione. Glutathione is the number one most important of these. You know what's crazy on the sidebar? I always get to tell who doesn't pay attention to my social media when I'm doing like a show or something, because they just be blowing up my phone and shit. And I'm like, nigga, why you didn't call me all day till I get on the radio show?
now you want to chat.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But so all of these is issues that we're missing by becoming vegan and still drinking, you know, 2-3 bottles a week, or, you know, like not having our full, complete understanding of how the nutrition works in our body. So the whole premise behind Eat Right for Your Haplotype is that based on where your ancestors are from.
One sec, ENQI, I got to just explain to the people what's haplotype, because leading up to this show, I had a lot of people ask me, what is your haplotype? What does that mean? You know, is that race? Is that, you know, where you come from geographically? What does that mean? So just explain that and then continue on with your explanation in its entirety.
No, that's cool. And that's a good question. To be honest, you're gonna have to go with what you see in the mirror. In most cases, and I'll explain why. It's really based on your bloodline, where your lineage starts from. Most of us today, our bloodlines are watered down. So you have black people, quote unquote, right, that are walking around and they have a lot of European blood flowing through their body. And so they think, especially in this day and age where people are trying to get more conscious of where they come from and, you know, what their roots are, black is the thing to be right now. So, you know, anybody that's halfway light skinned, you know, they got a little pigment, they're like, nah, we from Africa, you know. They might be 70, and then some people even dark as you and me, they might be like, they might have like 60% European ancestry. Flip side, you have people that's walking around that's fair skinned. Back in the days, they would say passing. You know what I'm saying? They so light, they almost white. Quote unquote, right? I'm gonna keep the quote unquote there every time I say black and white, so the people don't jump on me. You know, the comment section. They, you know, have, well, the nationality of the blood and the stop. Right. So people that are very fair skinned, even they might have 70, 80% black ancestry. So it's kind of rough, especially for those of us that haven't done any research on looking to see where we're from. And when I say where we're from, going into where your parents are from, and on both sides of the family, and how adventurous your family was in terms of traveling and you know, everything. Just finding out who you are.
Breaking out. Yeah, setting up different camps.
Right. So yeah, exactly. Breaking out, setting up different camps. As you know how the men, the men get frisky. You know what I'm saying? We might have a Chinese baby, a white baby, a Spanish baby, Mexican baby. Like then it get crazy. So we have to really put the work in to see who we are. And that plays a key role. But scientifically, you can go by pigment level will tell you a lot. And the reason why pigment level will tell you a lot is simple. Your pigment level is tied to your mitochondria, and that's really all that's important. Your 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 haplotype will determine your mitochondrial efficiency. And so you can use your mitochondrial efficiency to tell what haplotype you have, what type. Now, you don't have to get into A1, B1, E3, F4, and all this kind of crazy stuff.
Easy.
Right. Yeah. So that's not necessary.
Shout out to my man Ngozi, always dropping that higher science.
Yeah. Listen, that's not important for this conversation. What's important is to know that you're eating an equatorial type of diet or you're eating a polar type of diet. And
an equatorial kind of diet, you
equator.
Said, yeah?
Equator.
Right. Okay, cool.
So let's unpack it a little bit. Let's unpack it a little bit, right? Here's how cells work. This is how cells work. The basic understanding that people have to understand about a cell is that a cell is not really so much a thing as it is a place. Okay, that's the first thing people need to understand. A cell is a place. So what city are you in right now?
We in London.
Okay, cool. Now, London is a very famous city. What if London was abandoned and there were no people living in London? What would London be worth at that point?
Nothing.
Exactly. So enzyme is the same thing to a cell as people are to a city.
Okay.
Enzymes are actually what does all the work inside of a cell. So whenever a cell gets credit for a particular thing, it's actually just a generalization. It's the enzymes contained in that cell that actually do all the work. So if you hear about lung cells doing a particular job, or your liver cells, or whatever the case, it's the enzymes contained in that liver cell that do all the work. Now, that means our diet has to have plenty of amino acids to replace those enzymes as they break down. That happens when we go to sleep as a part of a process called autophagy, which is why our one of the reasons why our circadian rhythm is so important. And it goes back to those aromatic amino acids and the neurochemistry, because what tells your body it's time to go to sleep is melatonin. Melatonin is produced from serotonin. Serotonin is converted to melatonin in the pineal gland. Your body makes serotonin from tryptophan, which is an aromatic amino acid that we have to make sure we're getting in the diet, particularly vegans, because we're not eating meat. So we have to make sure that we're eating plants. If we're eating a plant-based diet, it contains all of the amino acids that we need, right? So when we go to sleep, if we're getting good sleep at night, autophagy happens. The amino acids replace all the enzymes that are worn out doing all the work. So that's why we need amino acids. Now, minerals catalyze the enzymes. So enzymes can't function without minerals. That's why we need the 77 some odd minerals, right? Or 100 some odd minerals. Now, if there are no functioning enzymes in the cell, the cells are worthless. If we have a diet, because most of the vegans I know, they're on meat and starch replacements.
Yeah.
Veggie burgers and pretend chicken and shit like this. There's no nutrition there. Every day you're getting sicker and sicker, right? So going back to the haplotypes, and I just, sometimes I'm trying to fill in the blanks, right?
Yeah.
So we can unpack this thing. Your mitochondria is based around 5 proteins, 5 enzymes, which are called the cytochromes.
Cool.
Now, you brought up Ngozi. One of the biggest beefs me and Ngozi had is, you know, this we come from the monkeys thing, or we share ancestry with the monkeys. No.
The
Right.
great ape, I believe it was.
Listen, mitochondria settles that argument, because all of the primates have most of their mitochondria in their musculoskeletal system, which is why they're so strong, muscle-wise. We have all of our mitochondria concentrated in our brain and heart.
Right.
Now, of course, the mitochondria is everywhere throughout the body, but it's concentrated in the brain and heart, whereas theirs is concentrated in their skeletal muscle, arms, legs, chest muscle, back muscle, which is why they're so strong.
Okay.
The smaller and tighter those cellular pigments are, those respiratory pigments are, the more efficient they run, the less electron leakage you have, the darker your pigmentation.
Right.
The darker your skin pigment, the more anabolic receptors you will have all throughout your body for anabolic hormones. Now, bodybuilders know this because they will tell you in a heartbeat, oh yeah, you know, those black bodybuilders, they're blessed, they're gifted. You know, they'll say things like that because they understand the more anabolic hormones you have, the faster you build muscle.
Yeah.
That is a byproduct of efficient mitochondria. Okay? So you can use that as a guide based on what your diet should be. This is why people with lighter skin age faster. The reason why they age faster is because their mitochondria, which is what your life force is housed in your mitochondria, runs less efficient. There's more electricity leakage, which produces a quiet systemic inflammation throughout the body. So you age a lot faster. You have a lot more free radicals floating around in the cell. Because when those electrons leak from the mitochondria, they float into the cytoplasm and eventually find their way into the nuclear DNA. So you have a higher propensity towards cancer at an earlier age. The damage in the DNA produces wrinkles, weakness. All of these things are compounded based on your mitochondria. So people that have very efficient mitochondria don't need a diet that is dense, that is very dense in electrons.
Okay.
This is shit right here that I'm telling you that the smartest holistic fucking quote unquote healer has no idea of.
Yeah.
Because I asked these guys, Like, let me ask you a question. The body needs electric diet, right? Okay. What's the most electric food to eat? And they're like fruits and vegetables. You see? Right there, I know they just regurgitating shit they heard from somebody else and not doing really firsthand study. Because the most electron-dense food are fats, which is why people from polar climates have enzymes in their body to break down animal fats and tissues because they need the more dense food to produce more heat. When your electrons and your mitochondria don't run as efficient, a lot of the electricity is released as entropy from a star, so to speak, as heat. So that wasted energy is heat. So we don't have that issue. What we need is a diet rich in, well, I can't give away my key terminology. That'll be in the book. Eat right for your haplotype. But we need a diet rich in the supporting cast to support the mitochondrial function. We're gonna do it like that, right? So you guys got to get the book when the book come out December 17th. Eat right for your haplotype. So it's a whole host of, you know, misunderstandings that people don't really have about how this thing works, and it's really simple. Now, I know it almost sounds like a contradiction, me throwing around all those terms and then saying it's really simple.
Well, this is the next part that needs to be broken down, because we can discuss it any which way we want, but when it comes to everyday life, as you know, with a family, kids, and all the rest of it, people tend to want the quick fix. But again, there has to be a routine in place that is simple to follow. Yeah. So again, now we've done some of the explain. I do want you to go into that regime that you kind of need to have and the aspects you need to cover to kind of see results, but in real time, you know, everyday life, kids, bills, all the rest of it.
Well, here's the thing. All right, so this is where people may have to know a little bit more about me, right? When I was a youngin', I only really knew how to do two things good, which was fight and read. So, but I never had aspirations of growing up to be a healer. Like that never was in my I got a wild family, street all the way. Like we, you know, that was never in, like, that's not even, I mean, it obviously somewhere is in my bloodline because I'm expressing it.
Yeah.
But that must be like way fucking back. You know what I'm saying? Because all of the close family, them niggas is nuts. You know what I'm saying? They're the opposite of healing. They fucking shit up. You know? So that's all I had to see. You know what I'm saying? And you know, so I stumbled through the streets and made all the mistakes that people make in the streets. And then because I had a good head on my shoulders, I found myself in financial markets and that type of thing. And the one thing that stuck with me was my love of science from a child, doing experiments and magic tricks and all that kind of stuff. And so it just was a love of mine. I, unlike most people that's into the holistic paradigm, my entry wasn't somebody that looked like me. My entry was science, textbooks, that kind of thing. Later on, after I started teaching holistic health, somebody introduced me to Dr. Africa books. Like, yo, you know, you sound like this guy, Dr. Africa. He's always angry and mean and pissed off with everybody. You should listen to this guy. And so I was like, damn, I got to change myself. Like, I come off angry and mean and pissed off. And I look at some of my early lectures, and I was, because it's like you got to repeat yourself and tell sick people over and over how to not be sick. And it's almost like people want to be sick. When you tell them, it's so simple to fix, you know, like type 2 diabetes. It's so simple to fix it. All you need is to eat this, do a little bit of exercise, and you're straight. They refuse to do it. And it's like, okay, so are you trying to die? Like, I don't get it. And you have loved ones that you're fighting with this shit, and it's just like, so, you know, I used to teach from that standpoint, like, but you grow and you learn, and then you know, my love of people. But so anyway, long story short, this was something that happened to me. I didn't plan to do this. When I made my transition into holistic healing and all of that kind of stuff, I was comfy. I had a house, 2-car garage, 2 cars in the garage, 2 cars in the driveway outside. You know what I'm saying? I had a house, 4 cars. I'm getting $75,000 a year from Verizon Wireless. Like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm not pressed for no money. So
what was the epiphany moment?
Well, my daughter had got ran over by a nurse. So think of the irony there. She got ran over by a nurse, right? And so, right, a quote unquote healer, right? So, the doctors told me she would never walk again. And so I had to use what I knew at that point to go into my you know, we used to call it the witch doctor cabinet. You know what I'm saying? Because I had all kind of herbs and minerals and half potions and all kinds of shit that I was mixing up in there for me. You know what I'm saying? And I had to go in there and, with what I knew, put together what I could to save my baby, because the doctors didn't provide me an option. They just said, you know, she's not going to walk again. At best, in 3 to 4 years, at best, with 3 to 4 years of therapy, we could probably get her limited mobility with some type of, I forgot the technical term they use for like a walking tool or prosthetic or something. Like, she'd need some fake shit in order to have limited mobility. So I was like, okay, that's unacceptable for me. So I went into my cabinet and put what I knew together, everything that I could imagine that her body would need to make more blood vessels, more nerve cells, to more bone, reduce acid, help flush inflammation, like everything. Boop, 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 boop. And I came up with the compound that would eventually become Mitochondria. And so I took that to the hospital. I started mixing it. And it's funny because Tony was making jokes. She said, Dad, and we were sitting at the table and we going over the ingredients of Mitochondria. And she said, Dad, you know what's crazy? I can't believe that this actually worked on Amber, and you had to mix it in Hawaiian Punch, because she was like barely, she was in ICU. I was dripping it straight into her mouth. But when she came out of ICU and, you know, she kind of had her conscience, her body couldn't move, but she could open her eyes and talk and shit. It was so nasty that I couldn't get her to take it. So I had to mix it with the Hawaiian Punch and get her to take it, you know. And then she was just like, Dad, I can't believe it worked in Hawaiian Punch. I said, because a lot of times people don't understand, your body just needs the raw nutrients to rebuild itself. Even if there are toxins present, your body's phenomenal at flushing toxins and getting those out of the system if it has the raw nutrients it needs to run properly. So anyway, I'm saying all that to say, selling products and doing the herb and all that kind of thing was never my bag. So when I made this product, I considered everything real time, which is why it's in a 1 ounce dropper bottle to make it easy to go in the pocket. Then I had to modify the formula a little bit so that it wouldn't taste so horrible, and I could drop it directly in the children's mouths. Boom, boom, boom. So that's really the easiest way I know for people to get all of the nutrients in their diet that they need, regarding all of the enzymes they need, all of the minerals they need, all of the aromatic amino acids they need, which formulates the basis of all of your biochemistry.
Listen, I know everything you're saying makes sense. What do you do on a daily basis? Like, what is Minister ENQI's day like from day to day? Because again, you got kids, you got family, you got business, you're running up and down. But obviously, you got to make time to do certain things, whether it's exercise, whatever. I see Terry just got the Mama Atomics there. That's all up on the screen.
All right, well, let's talk about exercise, right?
Yeah. What's your regime?
Well, let me just fill in the understanding of people so they can understand why exercise is so healthy, because exercise directly affects your mitochondria too. And people have to understand that their health is really predicated upon how well we take care of the mitochondria. So now, the biggest thing that's affecting Black people all over the planet, health-wise, is what? What's the number one issue that we have that's killing Black folks?
Cancer.
Close.
Diabetes.
Correct. Wow. Correct. Because diabetes raises your chances. See, diabetes, nobody that has diabetes dies from diabetes.
They die from other things. Yeah.
You die from cancer or you die from heart failure.
Yeah. It's a gateway disease.
Correct. It's a gateway disease, and that's what makes diabetes so dangerous. There's no particular signature of diabetes, and there's no fingerprints left when diabetes kills you. Meaning, if you ask a doctor about diabetes, they'll tell you, oh, well, if your blood sugar is over 135 or, then you're potentially a diabetic. But the key word in that sentence is potentially. Because a specific blood sugar does not denote diabetes unless you have a specific set of symptomology to go along with the high blood sugar. Now, there's two things that create high blood sugar, and this is why type 2 diabetes is so simple to knock out. The first thing is that you have what's called a glucose tolerance factor in your body. Glucose tolerance factor is made up of B vitamins, chromium, and vanadium. Glucose tolerance factor. I want people to really get that into their mind. None of the shit that I'm saying, people have to take at my word. They can type in their Google search, their smartphone, and look all this shit up.
That's all.
Glucose tolerance factor. At the center of the glucose tolerance factor molecule is chromium, cofactor vanadium, cofactor B vitamins. Also as a cofactor is glutathione, and selenium is what recycles glutathione and vitamin C, as well as the rest of your antioxidants in the body. So selenium plays a key role as well. But chromium and vanadium are the two stars of the show in terms of nutrition. Almost everybody in our community is deficient in chromium and vanadium. So, as we get an understanding of how biochemistry works, predicated upon mineral catalysts, every single action in your body requires a specific group of minerals in order for it to happen. If processing sugar in your body is incumbent upon chromium and vanadium, and you don't have any,
it's a wrap.
Then it's ENQI. Let me ask a quick question. But you see, if you're sufficient in that selenium, because I if I'm naive to it, where would I get that selenium from, and what happens when I'm sufficient of it?
Well, hold on. I'm gonna get the selenium.
Okay.
But you can get the selenium from my website as well. It's called Cell 2O. Cell 2O is the product with the selenium. Just like you can also go to my website and get carbon hydrate. That's the product that has the chromium and the vanadium in it, right? But the other key piece to it is this. You have to have the chromium and the vanadium, but you also have to have a bottom baseline of mitochondrial density. And the mitochondrial density has to match the amount of sugar you put into your body. Now, what do I mean by mitochondrial density? I'm going to explain. Let's take insulin, right? In this example, for a gallon of water. Insulin is a gallon of water. We're going to take sugar, carbs, processed sugar, for bread. So in our example, instead of talking about sugar and insulin, we're going to talk about bread and water. If I tell you right now, Mr. Riggs, right? The illustrious Mr. Riggs.
Yes, that's me.
That's right. If I tell you right now to drink a gallon of water and eat an entire loaf of bread in less than 60 seconds, would that be possible for you to do?
No.
If I told you to eat that loaf of bread and drink the entire gallon of water in less than 60 seconds, and I was going to help you do it, would that be possible?
I don't think so.
Exactly. But now, so that we can move the example forward, what if there was 20 of us and we just left the gym, or we just left a long, hard days away, and there's 20 of us, and we got a gallon of water, and we got a Chase. Take Aubrey to Tony. And we got a gallon of water and a loaf of bread, and there's 20 of us. And I say, eat that loaf of bread and drink that gallon of water in less than 60 seconds. Is that possible?
Now that starts to get feasible.
Exactly. That's the same thing in every one of your muscle cells throughout your body that happens with your mitochondria. The more you exercise, the more mitochondria you have.
Simple.
The less you exercise, the less mitochondria you have. And it's the mitochondria that your body is breaking down sugar to feed. Inside your cell, once you get past the insulin receptor, it's a GLUT4 molecule. It's taking the sugar to your mitochondria. So if there's only one or two, just for example, mitochondria floating around in there, there's no way in hell they're going to knock out that loaf of bread and that gallon of water, or to be able to clear your blood of the glucose and the insulin. But if your cells are loaded with mitochondria because you have a decent workout routine that's consistent, it's going to be much easier for you to handle that blood sugar and that insulin. And this is why we have a lot of professional athletes develop type 2 diabetes once they retire within the first 3 years, because they keep the same appetite. They keep the same dietary regimen, but they start to lose the mitochondrial density because they no longer working out as hard. So by putting the chromium and vanadium back into the body, by having a decent workout, and when I say a decent workout, it doesn't mean you got to be on the pull-up bar going backwards and all kinds of crazy shit. It doesn't mean anything specific about what it is that you're doing. It's just that it has to be consistent, and it has to be something predicated upon muscle tone. Not I went to the gym and I went to the treadmill for 30 minutes and then I went to the sauna for 30 minutes. You see? And
it can't be cardio based.
no, because It has to deal with building muscle. When you build muscle because you're building mitochondria. Now, to take it a step further, because we're talking about working out, most people that work out a lot, they don't understand the nutrient deficiencies that they're producing in their body on a day-to-day basis. When they go to the gym, or not even in the gym, but the gym specifically, every time you sweat, you lose some of every single one of the 100+ nutrients that your body needs to run its metabolism every day. Every time you sweat, that's why the salt. That salt is mineral salt and other nutrients that your body needs to run. So now, if you require these 100+ minerals for your body to run every day, but you go sweat, and what do we do after a good sweat? We drink water.
That's all. Rehydrate.
Correct. We're rehydrating, but we're not putting any of the nutrients back in. So we lost nutrients, but we put back water. We lost nutrients, but we put back water. Over time, that creates nutrient deficiencies. So every time you sweat, you're supposed to put back the water and all of the other shit that you sweated out.
Yeah.
So this is another reason why Mom Atomics is so small and it goes in your pocket. You can put it in your bag, your locker, your purse. Every time you're supposed to drop up.
Wow.
People that know some of this science. Exactly. People that know some of this science and know that you don't know this science, they're pimping you because they've made billion and trillion dollar industries by making quote unquote workout drinks that have electrolytes in them. Now, if you need 77 minerals, but they tell you getting back your minerals by giving you electrolytes when the electrolytes is only 4 minerals, that's a hustle. And they couple the electrolytes with dye. Those chemical dyes or food colors have been proven to function as free radicals inside your body, meaning they damage the nuclear DNA. In my 3rd book of the Black Genetics series, Vegan Babies, I put the scientific clinical data that shows all of the genetic abnormalities produced by each one of the food dyes. Blue number 1, red number 40, yellow number 5, yellow number. I showed the clinical data. So this is not something I'm making up. It's not no conspiracy theory, YouTube shit. This is absolutely scientific fact. So people that know how your body works are taking advantage of the fact that you don't. And the same people that own the big food companies are the same people that own the big pharmaceutical companies. So they're making money off you on both ends. There's nobody going to take care of us but us right now. So we have to understand these things to put in what we have to put in. Now, when we talk about cancer, what people don't understand about cancer is our bodies, like we as a species, we would have never made it this far if our bodies didn't have mechanisms internally built in to deal with cancer. Most of us produce cancer cells on a regular basis, but in a healthy body, your body's able to break that cancer cell down and either recycle the parts or flush it out of the system completely. Now, we have 600+ genes in our body that encode for enzymes and antioxidants that break down tumors and cancer cells. But guess what? If we don't have the key raw nutrition that activate those systems, it never happens. So here's the breakdown and here's the understanding. And this is why I put together the 21-day detox the way I did. Most people's detoxes on the market are just capsules filled with laxatives and fillers because most people don't really understand what a detox is. They think that they have a bowel movement, they had a detox. That's bullshit. If you have a bowel movement, all you did was have a damn bowel movement. And most people that are excited about having a bowel movement are people that don't have bowel movements on a regular basis. It just makes sense, right? The number one cause of people not having regular bowel movements is not because they're not getting fiber in their diet. It's because their body is clinically dehydrated. Now, when you put these fake ass detoxes into your body, they pull the water from your cells and your tissues into your colon to force a bowel movement. So what that does is leave your body more dehydrated than before you actually took the detox in the first place. That's not natural, and it does more damage to your body long term than it does good. But people don't know this, so it creates a money trap where motherfuckers could keep hustling you out of money. What I mean is this: if you're not having good bowel movements and you go to your store or your herbalist and you get a product and you take it, and now you're having amazing bowel movements for the next 2 or 3 days, you're like, oh my God, that's great. So now after you stop taking the product and you're more dehydrated than before you started taking the product, guess what? No more bowel movements. So you know what the first thing pops into your mind is? Hey, I got to get me some more of that product so I could go back to having nice bowel movements again. So now you're on a treadmill to where you thinking you got to keep buying this bullshit to have a bowel movement. And it's not the truth. You're just buying laxatives. Your body actually has an inbuilt detoxification system. Your body naturally detoxifies itself every single day as long as you have these key nutrients there. How this works is inside every cell, you have what's called a keep one molecule. The keep one molecule is basically made out of sulfurs. The sulfurs in that keep one molecule breaks down NRF2 molecule that sits adjacent to it. When the cell gets overrun by free radicals, or because the mitochondria runs inefficiently and it produces a lot of free radicals, those free radicals neutralize the sulfur compounds in the keep one molecule so that it can't break down the NRF2 molecule. As the NRF2 molecule accumulates in the cell, it breaks through into the nuclear DNA, and that sets off the alarm system for those 600 genes that I told you about earlier to begin to producing all of the P450 cytochromes and all of the enzymes throughout your body that destroy cancer, tumor, and other toxins. But before it can do that, when the NRF2 molecule breaks through there and rings the alarm, and the 600 genes go to work and say, okay, we gotta ground up the army. If there's no nutrients there, if there's no amino acids, vegans, let me talk to the vegans. If there's no amino acids there to synthesize the enzymes that serve as the antioxidant and tumor and cancer suppressors, how is your body going to defend itself? If it requires selenium, which is not in your diet, it's not in your goddamn kale, okay? It's not in your mushrooms, okay? It's not in your green smoothie, okay? If it requires selenium as the key catalyst for this function, and you don't supplement it, how will your body defend itself? It cannot. So this is how we then become susceptible to cancer. And that's one part of how cancers develop in the body. The other part, and we've been told this since Kemet, and when people come into the God Complex, which is my online class, I give them the medical papyri from Kemet to study alongside with all of the up-to-date materials, because we study all of health in depth. In Kemet, just like in your modern hospitals today, they tell you 90% of your immune system is in your stomach or in your digestive system. The reason that's so is because you have the pancreas secreting a bunch of alkalizing enzymes and hormones into the digestive system, along with your mucous membrane creating bicarbonate to neutralize acids. When your pancreas, and this is how diabetics are so prone to cancer. See, all of this is related. Diabetics are so prone to cancer because the pancreas is overwhelmed. When the pancreas is overwhelmed, it underproduces trypsin. Not to mention the fact that trypsin is a protein. So that means that it requires an efficient amount of amino acids in your diet every day to be produced. Trypsin is the thing that breaks down the protective coating on the cancer cells to allow your body to metabolize them and get them out of your system. So if you don't have the selenium, your pancreas is not functioning, there is no protection. You don't need a fucking bowel movement. You need nutrition. So this is why the detox is put together in the way that it's put together, so that not only are you providing your body with all the raw nutrition, all of the raw enzymes, but you're providing your body with all the natural antioxidants, tumor suppressors, cancer suppressors, all of those things, as well as the amino acids to build the enzymes and the raw aromatic amino acids to get optimum pineal gland function. You see, that's why the pineal gland is so important, is because the pineal gland is what repairs the mitochondria in your heart and your brain and throughout the rest of your body every night when you go to sleep. That's why melatonin is so important. Melatonin's job is to repair and keep the mitochondria super efficient. This is why the hormone cascade is dependent upon your mitochondria function. So, you know, this is like a damn 3-year medical school course y'all got in like 90 minutes. So people looking, I'm sure some people, you know, when you start using all these science terms, they start going to sleep and shit, you know, but it's okay. It will be on YouTube, so you can watch it in pieces.
That's it. And
look it up and research it as you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, ENQI, there was someone that asked, how do we maintain and keep our immune system healthy?
Well, again, this is why I created the compounds, the momatomics, the cell 2O to get the high levels of selenium in, the carbon hydrate to get the chromium and the vanadium in, you know, the structuring of the water and keeping the water quality high, the hydrogen level high, the oxygen level high. This is why I created the supplements, simply because they didn't exist in the form that I created them, which is not only for everyday people in the urban community, because we have the highest need for antioxidants and some of these minerals and nutrients. I haven't even began to go into copper, but we have the highest nutritional need for selenium and copper, more than any other group of people on the planet. And so it had to be specifically tailored for us. When we hear about herbs, what people don't know is that herbs are just containers for these nutrients. So the reason why a particular herb works for a particular illness is because that particular herb concentrates X amount of nutrition in it. And so when I say that the plants nowadays, when you get the organic food and all that kind of stuff, has the farmers only using 3-9, this is why herbalists, we use wild plants, because wild plants have a much denser variety of minerals and nutrition in it. But to be honest, you got to supplement. You know, you want to keep your diet. If you are European or of European ancestry, you might want to keep some meat in your diet. I mean, it's serious. It's serious. I had a sister, right? A European lady. She always used to comment on my post and everything like that. And so we had a good correspondence. And she told me, And she was being honest with me. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times people want to reach across the board, but they have a fear of being chastised because of whatever. So I don't have those issues. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't still have the adolescent white man is the devil complex.
Yeah.
You know, it's the world is a lot bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? At some point you have to realize we're all on the same. We're earthlings, right? But so anyway, she reached out to me. She said when she tried the vegan diet, her body didn't have the same level of energy. You know, like it just totally depleted her body of energy. And she noticed that her ambition, her drive, her mental focus wasn't there either. So I said, you know, I asked her where she was from, you know, because she had a thing up on her Instagram page that wasn't really her face. So I didn't know who she was. So when she told me she had European ancestry, I said, well, why don't you do this? You know, go back on the vegan diet, do me a favor, you know, take the soy out, you know, if you're doing mushrooms, do it moderately and stick to, you know, colored mushrooms. Don't do any white mushrooms at all. You know, I'm not a big fan of mushrooms, but just some people that swear by them. So I'm like, don't do the white mushrooms ever, at least. And put at least half an ounce of raw to, what do they call that? Medium rare meat in your diet every week. She hit me back in a month and she said that not only was her energy and all that kind of stuff up, but her fibromyalgia was gone and all kinds of crazy shit. And I said, listen, everybody can't follow the same diet. You know, it just is what it is. Now, we all roughly come from this earth, so we all roughly need these same minerals, but we need them in different concentrations. And because we have different biochemistry, we have different enzymes. Or I should say, because we have different enzymes, we have different biochemistry. So what we eat, we process differently. So, you know, for her, I told her to have a little bit of raw meat and she was fine. The biggest problem with meat is that there is no nutrition in well-cooked meat. And I don't know any black people that eat their meat raw, rare, or bloody. I've never seen anybody anywhere at any family gathering or any event that I've been to have a bloody burger, a bloody steak, bloody chicken, bloody fish. Let me take that back. People do eat sushi. But I've never seen people eat any other meat raw. Ever. So there's no nutrition in these types of meats. I tell people all the time, a lion walks right up to a deer and bites directly into his ass. He doesn't drag him home and put grease in the pan and fry him and put flour and seasoning. None of that. He eats him raw, and they go right for the stomach because they're looking for the blood, which houses the minerals and all the nutrients that animal ate, because usually carnivores eat vegans. Because the carnivores were not blessed with the enzyme set to get the nutrition directly from the plants and the sun. So they have to eat the other animals that can get the nutrition from the plants and the sun and drink their blood. Carnivores are vampires.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if you want to eat meat, go ahead and do it that way. But when you cook flesh, you produce the most carcinogenic compounds known to man. The most carcinogenic compounds known to man come from cooked flesh. And now you could call me crazy. I might be going off the map with this one, but for me, if you look at the Bible, if you understand what universal law is, I think that's the code of ethics that's there. And when you go outside of that, you have to pay. So the dietary regimen, and I get people debate this with me all the time. In that book, is vegan. Now you got 2 instances where they say you can eat these specific animals. And that's because in order to eat vegetation, you have to be somewhere where you know what the vegetation is like. So in a flood, there's no vegetation. You got to do what you got to do. Right? Or if you're in the wilderness and you don't know what the plants are like, you got to do what you got to do. But the plants that were listed in that book as clean animals are all vegans. So it's telling you what to do. And you're not supposed to cook them to death, because if the blood is dry, then you're missing all the nutrition. And once you cook it till it's charred, you're producing carcinogens, so you will pay sins of the flesh. That's where you're going to get your cancer from. So, you know, you don't need to do that. Being a haplotype that comes from the equator, we have ingrained in us all of the enzymes that we need to be able to get the nutrition we need to keep our body running directly from the plants and, you know, the sunlight. And lighting is very important. But a lot of people ask, especially smart asses that really try to, you know, run down on vegans. Like, you got this meat eater community now that's like getting defensive about their meat eating shit. So they like to attack vegans whenever they find them. And I find a lot of uneducated or just not well-rounded vegans, they get chewed up and they make everybody look bad. They're like, yeah, well, why do you need to eat the plants? There's 2 reasons that you can't get around why we have to eat the plants. Number 1, plants take minerals that our body cannot digest, found as metal and rock on Earth, and convert them into bioavailable minerals. That's number 1. So when you look at a mountain, that rock you climbing, that's mineral. It just hasn't been pre-digested by plants so that it's suitable for our body. That's number 1. Number 2, the aromatic amino acids that our body can't live without, we don't produce. The Shiki-Ma'at pathway in plants is where those are produced. So all of the aromatic amino acids are produced in plants. We don't do that. Not to mention, plants create the sugar or solar energy crystals that we know of as sugar, right? But the 2 primary reasons, like I said, are the minerals and the aromatic amino acids we can't live without. There's no reason you need to eat dead animals unless you can't get what you need from the plants and the sun.
But ENQI, let me ask a quick question. If, you know, like, is there any minerals that we can say our people are not taking or can't get from the foods that they're eating in their environment today, especially in the concrete jungle as we live in today?
95% of them. So it would be almost like lithium, boron, cobalt, iridium, rhodium, ruthenium, copper, selenium, chromium, vanadium. Like, most of the people listening to this show, they don't even know those minerals that I just named.
Mm-hmm. What about the simple gold and platinum?
Well, I mean, you can get it from the Mama Atomics, but gold is required for your joint health, which is one of the reasons why people have such a high level of arthritis going on right now. Gold is one of the key minerals for your joint health. Platinum.
Does it expand the brain? Does it expand the brain though?
It's not exactly expand the brain. Listen,
Okay.
these things have practical purposes outside of their more celebrated, fancier stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I'll be honest. The fancy stuff doesn't happen to people that don't have enough of it in their diet to satisfy the dietary needs.
Mhm.
It's the excess that does the excess. So if you're looking for the higher levels of consciousness facilitation, you got to meet all of the other things first before you have extra for that, because the body prioritizes all of its nutrition.
Mhm.
So they're a part of the cancer crew, because there's a whole group of minerals that participate in making sure your body stays cancer free. Not just selenium. That's just one I just named off the top because it's the most important one in terms of your antioxidants and your enzymes. But platinum is one of them. They use platinum for cancer treatments. You also have a group of minerals from the same transition metal group that breaks down harmful gases in the body.
Yeah.
See, I got to detail it in the book. But there's a whole set of our body chemistry that's tied to gases, and we don't even have conversations about this shit. That's why I know these holistic healers are sorry as fuck. Because our body runs more on gases than it runs on anything else.
Yeah.
Think about what's the most crucial shit to your body: air and water. Air is oxygen and hydrogen. I mean, water is oxygen and hydrogen, two gases. Even our food is made up of mostly gas. Look at carbohydrates: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen.
Well, of recently now they're trying to say that the lungs produce blood now. That the breathing process now is the produce of the blood. That's
well, it's not the producer of the blood, and this is not something that's new. It's not something that's new. Western science is just catching up, because most of the doctors, see, this is the shit going on in Western academia right now. The institution is not changing, but the doctors' minds are. So all of the doctors are taking their money and they're going to get holistic certifications, and they're opening up all these vitamin and mineral and herbal businesses called nutraceuticals, because they know what the fuck is going on. See, they're going to sell medication to motherfuckers that don't know no better, but they don't want to push that shit to their daughter, their mama, their wife, their husband, their cousin, their brother, their sister. Their loved ones, they want to have the right nutrition. So they are investing in what's called nutraceutical companies, which is nothing more than our natural paradigms. How that's related to this new thing about the lungs producing the blood is simple. All of our ancient traditions tell us that the chi, the prana, the electric substance that animates the body is in the air, and that how we breathe is the most key important thing to our longevity. So this is an ancient secret science that we've had, and I've studied personally since I was a boy. So that part of it I really don't even discuss, because most people that just goes way over their head. If I can't get niggas to stop smoking cigarettes and drinking Pepsi, there's no reason to talk about things that people have died for to make public. And I watch most of the videos on YouTube where people talking, they're doing classes on the science of the breath and all kinds of crazy shit, and most of it is pure bullshit. You're looking at fat people teaching the science of the breath. I'm like, this shit is crazy. So they have no idea what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? But it is a real science, and the Western academia is now trying to quantify those ancient sciences and bring them into explainable terms, where for our ancestors that created those sciences, understanding the nuts and bolts were nowhere near as important as knowing how to apply them to your life. You understand? So they didn't need to know what cell produces what and all that kind of bullshit. All they needed to know was, listen, if you breathe like this and you do like this and you move your body like this and you hold these postures and you do this, your body's going to be healthy until X, Y, Z. You know, it's going to expand your longevity. Woo, 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 woo. So the act of being healthy was more important than the science of being healthy. Nowadays, our people are more caught up in the science of being healthy because, to be honest, intelligence is becoming the new sexy. So people are using the information to get girls and, you know, shit like that.
Change their position out here.
Change their position out here, but they're not really applying this stuff, so they don't really understand the core value of a lot of these sciences, especially their ancient roots. So that's nothing new. The lungs and the lungs relationship to the blood, nor is the lungs relationship to higher states of consciousness. Going back to your question about platinum and higher states of consciousness. Now, your thought, your consciousness, like the rest of your biochemistry, is predicated upon your nutrition. And the deepest part about it is that when you look at the periodic table, the transition minerals, the transition metals, they sit in the middle of the periodic table. And when you look at it, it starts and it says Ray Usir Patar. And you follow those up, and those are the transition minerals that facilitate the higher levels of consciousness. And what separates them from the rest of the elements in the periodic table is that they hold much higher levels of hydrogen gas than any other substances on Earth. And hydrogen gas is the key to life. So this is where the conversation about structured water even begins to take place, because in structured water, and you have the separation of charge. That separation of charge is what organizes elements into what would later on become proteins. Those proteins further facilitate the organization of charge, and you begin to get the simple single cell organisms. Those single cell organisms, the first ones were anaerobic. As a byproduct of their life, of their metabolism, they produce ethanol, which is how we still make alcohol today. Those same single cell organisms or yeast produce the alcohol that we drink and party and turn up with.
Yeah.
When that ethanol is oxidized, you have the production of carboxylic acids. Those carboxylic acids then serve as the foundation for the building blocks of the higher forms of life. So nobody can fuck with the minister when it comes to this shit here. You understand what I'm saying? This is what I do. So, but those platinum transition, those platinum group metals or transition metals, those are the guys that facilitate the brain biochemistry outside of those aromatic amino acids, or those are the minerals that catalyze those enzyme functions in the brain that gives us the life that we have. And the more we have those in our diet, the better our memory is, the faster our brains can fire, et cetera, et cetera. So that's like my little cheat code in terms of study and reading and all of the things that a lot of people I know after an hour, 2 hours of reading, some people even 15, 20 minutes, they're spent. Their brain is done.
So ENQI, in some of these minerals, you see, like in the fibroids that women get, and you know when the cyst is swelling.
Yeah.
Is there any forms of minerals that can reduce that swelling?
It's the selenium. In fact, they did a study, and the study was done in the 80s, I believe. And they showed two things. Being selenium deficient increases your chances of cancer, tumors, and fibroids 80% across the board. Right? But not only that, that eating cooked meat increases your chances of cancer and fibroids and breast cancer and prostate cancer and colon cancer almost 500%. Now, anybody that's graduated from elementary school knows that 100% is completion. So technically what they're saying is if you spend your life eating well-done meat, the only way to avoid getting cancer is to die from something else before you get the cancer. So selenium is the mineral that catalyzes those 600 genes that will protect not just our sisters from fibroids, but all of us from tumorous growths and cancers, etc.
So what do you think of the what's it called, Tanjula or Zajula, something like that? THJA.
Well, I know this. The Mitochondria has selenium in it, and I know the Cell 2O has high levels of selenium in it because one of the problems with supplementation is when you're deficient and you have deficiencies that have grown into pathologies or problems now, you have to take more than the daily recommended whatever to get your body back to an optimum state. And it usually is going to take you, 100 days to saturate the body back with whatever it is that you're missing. So that I know for sure. See, that's why I created the compounds, because I could vouch for what's in my shit. I don't know what's in everybody else stuff. I can't even vouch for particular herbs, plants, fruits, and vegetables because of farming practices. You see? So like I could say Brazil nuts are technically high in selenium. If anybody Googles foods high in selenium, Brazil nuts will come up. But that's very misleading, just like it is for the rest of the food supply, because Brazil nuts can only concentrate high amounts of selenium if there are high amounts of selenium in the soil where the tree that grows the Brazil nuts is growing. But if it's not in the soil, it's not going to be in the plant. So it's not going to be in the fruit, vegetable, nuts, whatever the end result is. It won't be there because it's not in the soil.
So like in mass production, if they're growing it in a particular place and there's no selenium, really the Brazilian nut is worth what it is.
Grand opening, grand closing, it's worthless. So a lot of people now are buying Mitochondria and they're using it for their home gardens. They're taking the Mitochondria, cutting it into their couple of gallons of water, and using that to water their plants so that they grow vegetables that has all of the nutrients in it.
Okay. Richie, on the reflection of what we've heard so far, what is your opinions?
First of all, I need to thank all the people that's been watching and tuning in and chatting in the chat room. All bigging you up. Yeah. UK, USA link up show. Yeah. So I want to say that to the people them. Shout out to my fellow black media out here. You get me? From the Sarnetters to the Titans TVs. The
Big up Sarnetta.
You get me? What did I say? Content over everything. Jedi TV. Yeah, big up to the black media in this. The information again is crazy because the one thing that I laugh at is how it affects your problem solving skills.
Woo!
That's what you need to understand here. It goes straight to the core. Like you're not eating right, you're just not dealing and thinking right. You get me? There is no grand unified theorem. You can't put nothing together properly. So I think that's the key element that I want people to understand about this thing out here when it comes to the eating game. And again, it's a hard one because the way they've got life structured, you know, they want you to be on the run. They want you to not take 5 to think about it, or to not have time to do a little exercise, or to feel that way anyway. But again, as I said, it goes straight to the core of, if you want to be that guy who's learning stuff, if you want to be that lady who can internalize certain things, you need that. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how real this is. Let me tell you how real this shit is, right?
Go true.
Let me tell you how real this shit is. People are looking at Magic Johnson. They're looking at Magic Johnson, and they saying to themselves, this motherfucker here seems to be getting bigger and stronger since he came out and told people he was HIV positive. Well, here's the secret. There's one mineral that stops HIV from becoming AIDS.
What's that?
Selenium.
There you go.
So a part of that mega shake that Magic takes every day, 2-3 times a day, it's mega doses of selenium to keep his HIV in track. So it's just knowing this science. This shit really is like it's the body is very simple. It's like you put this in, it'll do this. If you put this in, it's going to do that. If you load your body up with carcinogens and fucking chemicals for 20, 30 years, it's going to break down and you're going to have a nasty end. If you put all of the shit that you're supposed to have in it every day, you're not going to have those issues. And because we don't have the problems pop up immediately, we don't notice them. But what we don't understand is that minerals are interwoven throughout the fabric of our bodies. So as we're missing them from our diet, the problems don't really pop up until we deplete the areas of our body that store high amounts of them. So when we look at diabetics losing their eyesight, that's because their body is pulling the chromium from their eyes because it's not in their diet. So once the chromium gets depleted, boom, they lose their eyesight. I've been able to get blind people that have had their license taken away because they were legally blind from diabetes and cancer, get their license back with supplementation.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to ask ENQI because if someone asked, a lot of the selenium supplements in the UK contains yeast. How can they deal with that?
Well, mine does not.
But what can they be aware of? What supplements should they be aware of?
Like I said, listen, mine does not have yeast. That's what I can tell you for certain. The Cell 2O does not have yeast-based selenium. And I have a way that I put together my compounds, all plant extracted, so that you get maximum absorption. Because most of these mineral compounds, what mineral companies won't tell you is that if the mineral is not presented to your digestive system a certain type of way, it's not going to be bioavailable. It's going to come through your urine. Okay. So So a lot of times people might hear something and rush out and go grab something, and because we pay more attention to how we look on the outside than how we look on the inside, we'll go and search up selenium, and we'll see, oh shit, that one is $30, that one's $20. Oh man, $7.99. Let me get that one right there. Boop. And you get what you asked for.
Okay. Now I just want to say, like, go through a couple of things quickly before we come back to what we're talking about, because sometimes I like to promote all the products and things that is available to us. And as you can see, hold on, I'm going to get to it. As you can see, we have creation of different companies that we deal with, and as you know, we deal with a lot of Minister ENQI's products, like the Mitochondria. So we have them in liquid form, and we have all different other stuff in the products and tablet forms, as well as we have his book, as people can see.
Whoop. Well, take your camera.
Yeah. So if you're not interested, you can.
We can't see.
Huh?
We can't see. Your camera's not showing.
Yeah, I haven't finished yet, my general. Anyway, before I was disturbed, you can see this book again. Once again.
You know we can't see nothing right now, yeah?
Okay. If you can see.
I can see it.
Can you see it?
Yeah. You need your ancestral glasses. Anyway, that's the book. So anything of Minister ENQI's that you're interested in, we have, and as well as we have others, as in we have another guy who's got what we call the Marandina. He has a Marandina A, B, and J. One is A is all the vitamins and minerals, J is a detox, and B is circulation. Then we have another woman that's got supplements called Massaggio, which is a detox and fat burner with all different African herbs as well as the UK herbs. And then we have what we call the hormone balancers.
So what?
Yeah. And we have our in-house, which we call the Moringa Gold. It's got all the products of the Moringa itself all in one bottle.
Now, I don't know about the rest of those products, but I know that Moringa Gold is official. That I know is official. I put that in my drinks daily.
That's so.
In fact,
so don't forget, we'll be delivering them.
Before we went on the air live, I was just negotiating my price so I can get me some.
That's it.
Yeah, this Moringa is top of the range from Mama Sia. Yeah, this is our in-house company that is producing, because you know what? It's all about economics. And economics is what's going to lift us off for where we need to go. Because if we don't have economics, all what we're talking becomes bullshit. Yeah. So you need to buy products, you need to buy things from ourselves who are distributors and suppliers, as well as working with the people that produce the products. Right? So that's on the product side of things. And don't forget, we had a big tour throughout the whole week, which we have their books. Yeah, so we supply books, we deliver books to your doorstep. Another one by TK Carrier. And he comes from the kinetic science, and he goes into relationships and the science behind female and male sex. Right? So, and as again, we got the Minister ENQI's book. We have Ancestral Voices DVD. As you know, the Ancestral Voices Part 2 has come out. We've got Part 1 available from us. So any products, you see the website coming up soon. And if you need to contact us, email us at blackeyestv, all right, at gmail.com.
7@gmail.com. Don't forget the 7, or it's gonna go somewhere else.
Okay. Do you hear that, people?
Black Ice TV 7. Don't put the 7.
All one word. And
get
then
me. That's
we have quite a few events from the 12th to the 14th. We've got Boyce Watkins in town. Make sure you go to the Eventbrite, book it up, and you will see us there. Number 2, we have Oyinka. If you're talking about history and you want to know about the Tudor England, the Tudors, the Blackamoors in Tudor England. His event is great. He's done 28 years of research. The book is fantastic. All about the facts.
Hey,
not
listen.
Not the Google.
Listen, when Boyce Watkins come out there, I want y'all to ask him why he been hating on Cardi B so much.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yo, I'm serious. I issued Boyce Watkins a challenge. I said, yo, stop talking about so much of that bullshit. And I want to hear y'all talk about some health. I want to hear you address health, which is the #1 killer of our people.
But that's the problem. Because you know what?
Wait. He ducked my challenge. And then started doing videos hating on Cardi B. And Cardi B is from the Bronx. So I take that shit personal. You know what I'm saying? I like Cardi B because Cardi B came from a very, very hungry and low place. And she's doing her motherfucking thing right now. So I wouldn't tell young girls to aspire to be strippers. But what I would say is that she is an awesome example that it don't matter where the fuck you came from as long as you focused on where it is you're going. You know? Mm-hmm. And what we don't need is people that's in positions that have large audiences knocking the people that's trying to pull themselves up by the bootstrap. Because outside of our physical health, the biggest problem that we have in our community is laziness and lack of ambition. So when we see people execute ambition in the hood, it's usually on something illegal. You know, that's where our ambition is, to go get a package of drugs and do some old MTV bullshit that's not even real anymore. That time is over. All of the people that's glorifying that type of lifestyle, they either never did it or they living in a movie semblance of something that happened 20 years ago. So I was uptight that Boyce Watkins tried to come at Cardi B. I'm like, yo, what the fuck's wrong with this nigga, man?
I hear you.
I think when he comes this time around, he's coming on.
That's right.
But
tell him, that one. Man, look, you see this finger? Tell Boyce Watkins that Minister ENQI gave him this finger right here. Said it's not okay for you to be coming at the sisters from the Bronx that's trying to do something positive with their life.
Listen, we're definitely gonna
pass. But as I was saying, it's all about unification, and it's not about dissing our own and degrading our own. Because it's a collective, it's a family. Yeah. Right. So we start uprising our people and getting our people into the right positions at the end of it. So now what anyone's got to say, they should, if they got something negative to talk about, why don't go to the other side of the water and go and deal with them people and talk about them negatively. But stop bringing negative things to the African diaspora, because what we are trying to do is uplift ourselves as one family and a unification.
We're on the come up.
Yeah. So we're coming to take over everything. So anyone that's locking their doors, they're best open, because we're coming in, whether you like it or not.
That's all.
We're coming to hold your doors down. Anyway, so basically, yeah, there is a lot of events, and then we've got Anthony Browder on the 24th and the 26th for the Pan-African Thought. So people, come and learn your history. Pick up your books. Come and buy. Because if you don't buy these books, you're going to lose out on some information. Because he's coming down. So if you go to Eventbrite, go to Pan-African Thoughts, Anthony Browder, you will get to see his events and you will get to know what's going on. Because
he's one of my favorites.
Trust me.
He's one of my favorites. He's one of my favorites. I like him. He's actually, you know what I'm saying? He's always in the rubble. You know what I'm saying? So when he comes with information, that's information that he's researched, but then he got in the rubble, in the rock himself, and actually excavated, and he takes it to a whole nother level. So I love Anthony Browder. Yeah,
I even spoke to him today as it goes. He got information on the finding in one of the tombs. He found the Sankofa symbol. So that tells you it all.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
Trust me, and hopefully people will have some information on how you possibly could go on a dig or one of his sites with him when he's on his
excavation.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I got to drop off. The natives are getting restless, man. My children is getting crazy.
We're wrapping this up.
Hey, why don't you introduce the family, ENQI? Because, you know, everyone doesn't know how hard you work.
Man, it's too many of these characters. You see, look.
They don't see behind the scenes.
Look, all I got to do is move the computer a little bit in any direction, and they start popping up.
But they don't see that as a family man that what you go through. So, you know, it's sometimes why you do what you do. You have to benefit the children and the new generation. And people don't see that. Well, because people just, you're just trying to hustle, you're trying to make money, but you don't understand that you have to feed your children.
No, listen, let me tell you, it's not even just about feeding my children.
Yeah.
Like Anthony Browder, this is a labor of love for me. Like, when you think about the time and the money it takes him to actually go on all of those expeditions, and there's no way that a lecture or a book can recompensate him for what he's putting out to get the information. For me, this is a labor of love. In fact, I never really thought in a million years that it would be possible for me to do what I love and to be able to take care of my family. But like I said, this has always been my hobby. So with or without a monetized audience, this is who I've always been. Even when I had a job, I still annoyed the fuck out of all my coworkers at lunchtime. Like, people literally would hide at lunchtime so they could enjoy their food in peace, because I break that shit down to the molecule and go all the way into the digest. Like, and so it's always been me. What I do now is of a service for the people, and I do it through and with my family. So there's no separation. My children are a part of my think tank. You know, they everything I do with them, for them, maximum transparency. Sometimes I'm too transparent with them, but that's my team. You know what I'm saying? That's my staff, my executive board members. Like, that's my crew right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like I said, listen, none of this, there would be no Minister ENQI if that nurse never went to sleep, jumped the sidewalk, and ran into my 3 girls. So this was born out of necessity from me trying to save my child. And then once I was blessed to do it, the people around me that saw what I did wouldn't let me rest without sharing it with them. And then they started to tell more people, and then people started to bum rush me for shit, and it got like that. My oldest son, his mother had diabetes. I reversed her diabetes. That started to circulate around in the hood. My Aunt Bertha, she had cancer. I put her cancer in remission. This is before I even created the Mama Atomics. That started to circulate around in the hood. And this is just me fucking around with my limited knowledge at the time, because it wasn't a full-time business for me. It wasn't full-time research. It was just my hobby. But I understood the nuances of how the body worked enough to be able to say, nah, all you got to do is tweak this and tweak that, do this, and give it a little bit of time. This will change. Do this, this, and that. Give it a little bit of time, and this will change. The only time I panicked was when the doctor told me Amber couldn't walk again. That shit fucked me up. I was like, oh, hell no. This shit got to mean something right now. Like, I called on every deity and every ancestor. Like, no. All you motherfuckers got to Buddha, Allah, Osiris, everybody. And, you know, I was blessed. Somebody listened, or all of them listened, and they worked through me to help her and then help everybody else in earshot. And I just been going ever since then, trying to. That's why if people know me, they know that I put the information before the products. I have a class, the God Complex course, and I'm getting ready to pull out the second part to the God Complex course, because I think the information, people learning how to heal themselves and their families, is way more important than buying products. A lot of our holistic healers in the past have dealt with products for one of two reasons. Either they didn't really know the body well enough to teach it, or they were more interested in the money and switching dependency from the medical system onto the holistic system. Me, I want to switch dependency from any system onto ourselves. Self-responsibility is the only thing that's going to get us out of this epic that we're in of early death and degeneration due to lack of knowledge. Hosea 4:6. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we at with it. I put the information first. That's why I created the online school, so people can learn how to do this shit and learn how their body work themselves. Because I'm not going to always be there. You know, when we had Sabi, people got fucking relaxed and they thought Sabi was going to always be around. Then something happened to Sabi. And after Sabi passed, his partners at the company and his family went to fucking war. They still at war. So now the product is up in the air. Now you don't have Sabi. Who the fuck is to say how long you're going to have Minister ENQI? Or, you know, you have to learn this information for yourself and be able to take care. That's the protection. That's how we protect our teachers too. Because once we learn the information and we become individual progenitors of the information and lifestyle, then that old adage of kill the head, the body dies is gone, because now we got 1 million heads. So I'm about putting the information out there and getting the people proficient in understanding how their body works, so that not only do they know how to take care of themselves, but when they have to go to see doctors, because I'm not against doctors. I'm not against medicine. I'm not against surgery. I think those things have a place. They're grossly overused, but they have a place. But I think the problem where people get taken advantage of is they don't understand the language the doctors speak in. They don't know medical jargon. That shit is like a fucking person from New York trying to speak Russian or trying to speak Italian. Like, they don't understand the language. So when you don't understand the language, but your hands rest in your life rests in the hands of someone who you don't understand what they're saying to you, you're going to get your ass beat every single time.
So as I was saying, ENQI, I just want to quickly breathe over something, because we always like to give our people a nice gem of information, just a short brief gem, and we're going to use this form of thyroids. What can we do to cure thyroids as a form of gem to the general public? So we give something to them.
Okay, so I have the pink lips, right?
Yeah.
The pink lips is high in iodine. Iodine is what we need for the thyroid. Okay. Now, like I said, we can go through the whole. In fact, in the first month in my course, people learn all of these basic body chemistry and the herbs that correspond with them, so they can begin to create formulas at home for their family. But it's iodine that's the number one key to thyroid function. Now, the major two cofactors for the thyroid outside of iodine are copper and tyrosine. So look how our conversation has circled back around again. Tyrosine is not only, this is why I'm saying tyrosine is the star of the show. So a lot of people know that I was supposed to debate this guy. I'm not going to say his name because he's running around telling people tyrosine is a fungus. And I'm saying you can't really understand anything about the body, not just black bodies, but anybody's body in fucking general. If you're talking about tyrosine is a fungus, your melanin, your neuromelanin, your cellular respiratory proteins, our very ability to breathe and respire depends on tyrosine. Cytochrome 1 has tyrosine as the outlet. Tyrosine is the main thing that combines with iodine to produce T3 and T4, which is how the thyroid regulates not only the rest of the body's metabolism, but your body's ability to process calcium and alkaline itself. So this is why the thyroid is so crucial. So it's iodine, copper, and tyrosine. So now the copper, if people go to my website, the copper is in a compound called eumelanin. All right, it's called eumelanin. Now, when you get the eumelanin, which is high in the copper, it also has the other 100 nutrients you need in it. When you get the cell 2O, which is high in the selenium, it also has the other 100. When you get the carbohydrate with the chromium and vanadium, it also has the other 100. So it's not about buying a single mineral because your body doesn't even process them correctly. So with the thyroid, it's about getting in the iodine, the copper, the tyrosine, and the supporting cast, the cofactors surrounding those guys. But that's all it comes down to. It's just really that simple. You get the iodine in your diet, which most people don't get because people don't consume. Most of our people don't even eat sea vegetables. I'm going to just keep it a buck. That's not even a part of our culture, sea vegetables. Most people don't even understand what the fuck that is when I say sea vegetables. They're like, well, what is a sea vegetable? Oh, you talking about that Irish moss, that sea moss. Oh, okay. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Talking about vegetables that come out of the fucking ocean. You understand what I'm saying? Bladderwrack, dulse, wakame, arame. These are sea vegetables, right? So kelp even. You understand what I'm saying? These are things that concentrate the nutrients of the ocean. So you have the iodine, the tyrosine, the copper.
Yeah, that's
okay. Okay. Hello.
Listen, people.
Can I do that? Hello.
I want to thank ENQI for joining us and doing his bit. Yeah, we've been going for a nice piece of time and seeing some good information, like bantered around. I'm glad ENQI's finally come and bridged the gap after missing the last show. Yeah, because we was looking for him and there was enough people on our backs to get.
We had to send this to the Black Eyes TV Secret Service.
That's cool. That's cool. He's in the house. So yeah, big up to everybody for watching. Big up to Black.
Oh, wait. Let me just apologize. I just want to apologize for everybody with the last time I was supposed to be on the radio and we didn't make it. And I want to definitely send my deepest apologies to the family. As a side effect of a full-time dad, sometimes shit happens. You know, a lot of dads out there, even active fathers, they're not a full-time dad. There's a difference.
Yep.
See, full-time dad is when the children live with you, not mom. There's no mom. Mom's not there. It's you. So you got to dress them, feed them, make the food, clean up, prepare them for bed, do the home. Like, you are the full-time. So it gets a little crazy. But, you know, we made it work. But I definitely want to apologize to everybody for missing that date because I was hyped. I'm always hyped and excited when I get to speak to the family abroad. I know y'all watch us on YouTube and stuff like that, but we don't really get to interact with you guys as much as I would like to, because a lot of the people that's in my God Complex class is from abroad. And so, you know, I really appreciate you guys, as well as Talk with the Titans, for having the platforms where we can kind of reach the people over there and mix it up.
Definitely.
Okay, let me quickly say something. Richie, before you go into your, as I was explaining, before we even close out, we have to represent all the stores that represents us. And as I said before, like how we have the Bean, 10 Adelaide Road, where we store some of our products, we promote them. Make sure you go there, buy your stuff. It's in Shepherd's Bush, London. Then we've got Brixton Hill, Pansy. We stock products there. We stock a lot of things there. And we have what we call Never to Vitel on Station Road, which has got all books, all products, all the things that you need as black people. As you know, we need to spend black and we need to provide black so that when we do things, we provide for the all, but we circulate to the African diaspora. We have to make that money circulate 1,000,000 times before we release it. So, as I was saying, go to these stores, give us a call, give us an email, keep our economic system that we're trying to provide for you spinning, because we want to knock down doors that have been blocking us from having all the things that we need to have in our life. So, you know what? Keep logging, keep subscribing, and keep promoting and keep on liking. So, Richie, it's in your hands.
Peace to the family. Thank you again for tuning in. Yeah, this is another Black Eyes TV Productions. Look out for more stuff, up and coming, live shows, interviews. Yeah, Black History Month, Black History Year, all black everything. Yeah, watch this space. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.